Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. And in this video, I'm going to present about the material of seminar on ELT. But before we go to the explanation, I will introduce myself. My name is Wiyana, and I'm a student of Presentasi University in Tegal, and now I have already 8 semester or last semester. So let's get started. The title of this presentations is the implementation of small group discussion technique in teaching reading comprehension for first grade students of senior high school. Next slide. In this slide is point of presentation. There are 3 points. The first is introduction, the second is discussion, and the third is summary. The next slide. For introduction, there are background of the problems and formulation of the problems. And for the background of the problems, education and teaching are important in learning. One way that can improve education standards is with the right learning methods. Indonesia has several learning methods such as teacher-centered learning, namely the teacher as a dominant figure in the learning process and students as recipients of information so that teaching and learning interactions are more centered on the teacher. And small group discussion technique is able to motivate students to dare to express their ideas or opinions. And for the formulation of the problem is how do English teachers implement small group discussion technique in the classroom. And the next slide is discussion about reading comprehension or definition of reading comprehensions. Definition of reading comprehension is the act of understanding what you are reading. So, reading comprehension is the level of understanding of a text or message. This understanding comes from the interaction between the words that are written and how they trigger knowledge outside the text or message. And the next slide, small group discussions. There are 6 points of small group discussion. The first is definitions, types, variations or types, same. The applications of small group discussion, the teacher role, advantages and disadvantages. The next slide is definitions. So the definition of small group discussion is one of the cooperative learning technique in which students work in group of 3 or 4. A small group is a small member of human work together through interaction whose interdependent relationship allows them to achieve a mutual goal. And small group discussion as the example of teaching techniques can be used to encourage students' skill in English speaking. And the next types of small group discussion, there are 5 types. The first is bus sessions, which refer to short discussions by very small groups within a lesson. And then group discussions, which consist of various forms of in-depth discussions, such as tutorials or seminar. And then the third, problem-solving activities, which cover a range of games, simulations, and participative exercise, such as case studies, role plays, and business games. And then mediated feedback sessions, in which specific skills are practiced, analyzed, and discussed, such as micro-teaching and interactive skills training. And the last, group project, whereby a small group undertake a cooperative task of a practical nature, such as a laboratory or field project. And in the next is teacher role in small group discussion. The first is the teacher as inquirer. Cooperative learning teachers are continually examining and questioning their beliefs, values, and assumptions. Examining attitudes and values held about the culturally important the context of teaching in a multilingual, multiracial classroom. And the next is the teacher as creator. Since the cooperative classroom is a process-oriented, teachers encouraged in effective group work must realize that the learning environment is highly structured and well organized. According to Johnson, the teacher's role are as a creator. They are creating a social climate, setting goals, planning and structuring the task, establishing the physical arrangement of the classroom, assigning materials and time. And the next slide is the application of small sessions. The first steps of small group discussions is start with one small group that works well together. Let them arrange their desks in a small circle and proceed to plan and make choices about their project. It would be a good idea for them to elect a chairman and to carry out ideas. In this way, they will have a full range of group work experience and will encountered several of the problems in working together that will crown up again and again. And the second step, separate individual from their group to each small group and provide them as leaders for the separate from that individual group can serve effectively as helping persons in a new group who have no experience. And the third step, set some well-defined, accomplishable tasks. Provide early reinforcement. If the group is the job done, the students will be more satisfied with the group and with their participation. And the next, fourth step, work with each group, especially in turn. They should be done so that the students are aware of your attention and feel comfortable in knowing that your time is theirs. Sit down with and systematically explore the state with each group member. This activity can increase the students' motivation in learning. And the next steps, provide research materials of several kinds. The teacher also can give the media, realia, and etc. The teacher also can give the media such as picture, realia, and etc. To increase students' intake of information session to be more understandable to all group members. Materials for making media aids for the group report should be provided. In the last steps, if the students getting their job done, the teacher asks the students in each group to report and discuss the result of students' small group discussion and develop a suggestion for a brief, lively information sharing session. Next slide about the the first about the advantages. All participants in the group can participate. It is a good way to get participants interested in the topic. Participants easily understand another participant's explanation. Then the presenter can identify participants who need assistance, and the presenter can identify individual opinions about the topic. And the disadvantages: it is time consuming. The second, some participants in the group may do all the talking. It involves less presenter involvement than other methods. And the last, the discussion can easily get off track. And the last slide about the summary and the conclusion of this presentations. Small group discussion develops students' speaking skills, which can also increase understanding of reading text, because in the group each student expresses their opinion. It is a process of freely sharing information and insight among peers in a welcoming environment under the guidance of a presenter. Individual effort is encouraged, a strong team with creative ideas. And the suggestion, there are two points. The first is for students and for teacher. And for teacher, the English teacher have to able to organize teaching reading activities and have to give suitable and interesting materials to the students in order to raise their enthusiasm. Should be aware of the students' condition nowadays by having the knowledge about various techniques in teaching learning process. The teacher give a motivations for the students, and the suggestion for the students. I think there's something in this slide. I'm sorry. And suggestion for the students. Students should should participate in discussion in working group. Students facilitate each other in learning, and last, students are expected engaged in problem solving in a free way. Okay guys, I think that's all from me about my presentations about the implementations of small group discussions. The implementation of small group discussion technique in teaching reading comprehension for students of senior high school. So I think that's enough for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.